One of the first things immigrants in a new country need to do is to find a place to live. Most people have to rent an apartment or house the first time around. Renting a house can be challenging. The first thing a person should do is to find an affordable place. There are many options available to a renter when looking for a place to live. The popular website Craigslist.com is a good place to start because it allows the renter to search for places by prices, neighborhoods, number of rooms, and so on. With these filters, renters can view only places that meet their needs. There are, of course, other ways of finding a home. Newspapers also have a section that lists places to rent, or renters can go to a professional broker to find a place. There is also word of mouth, where renters hear about places for rent from friends, colleagues, and family. Then there is just the old-fashioned way of driving through neighborhoods in search of for rent signs. Renting a place to live can give a person a great feeling of independence, but renting a home comes with great responsibilities also. Renters must first pay for the first and last month's rent when first renting a place. Additionally, there is usually a deposit that must be paid. The amount of this deposit varies. It is up to the owner of the building to establish the amount for deposit, and even though renters are paying rent, the apartment or home still belongs to the owner, which means renters are expected to take care of the place by not damaging their new home. Treat the home like it belongs to you, and everyone will be happy. Getting into a new place to live is a very exciting time. This is especially true if the person looking for a new home or apartment is a first-time renter. Having a place to call your own gives you a great feeling of independence. The question that arises when looking for an apartment or home to live in is it better to rent or lease? Both options have advantages and disadvantages. The best way to go about making this decision is to base it on your own personal situation. Renting is a simple process that usually does not require the person to stay in that space for a specific length of time. In California, and in most states, this is called a month-to-month rental agreement. A landlord will generally require the new renter to pay 2 months of rent in advance. The property owner is also likely to ask for a security or cleaning deposit, or both. The advantage of a month-to-month rental is that the renter can get out of the agreement by simply giving the owner a 1-month notice to vacate. The same applies to the owner. If the owner asks the renter to leave, all he or she has to do is to ask the renter to vacate in 30 days. A lease works a bit differently. It's usually signed for 1 year, so both the renter and the landlord agree to a predetermined length of time. The renter will occupy the unit. The renter signs a contract agreeing not to move out of the home for the 1-year period. After that, it works much like renting. There are consequences on the part of both parties if the lease is terminated early though, so it is better to wait your lease out than to terminate it early. Buying a home may be the single most important decision a person can make. It involves several things that a prospective homeowner must know before he or she begins a search for a home. Many newcomers to the United States do not immediately purchase a home, simply because of the cost involved. Most people rent a home or apartment first, and this is not a bad way to go about finding your first place to live. Renting is generally cheaper than buying a home, and the lower monthly payment may allow the renter to save a few dollars each month until he or she can afford a home. Finding a good real estate agent is essential to finding a good home. Realtors are paid professionals whose business is to know about home buying. One thing that must be taken into consideration is how much a person can afford. In the United States, home prices vary greatly. This variance is usually based on location and size of the home. For instance, a 3-bedroom house that sits on a quarter lot of land will cost much less in places like Victorville, California, than the very same home in Monterey Park, California. Other things that may affect the price of a home is the condition the house is in, the age of the home, and the quality of the schools in the area. Many first-time buyers look for low-cost homes, sometimes called fixer-uppers, so that they can purchase a home and make improvements on it as time goes by. The longer you own your home, the more its value will rise. Once you own a home for a while, you could either borrow money on it, or sell it for a larger place, or in a more desirable area. It is better to start now than later in purchasing your first home. Most people in the United States live in several different homes throughout their lifetime. Going from one home to another is a difficult task, but it can be manageable if it's done properly. The best thing to do is to create a checklist for all the different things that must be taken care of when you move from one place to another. Utility bills, which include gas, light, and water, must be transferred from your old place to the new one. Additionally, cable and internet service companies should be notified if you choose to continue your service with the same company. The U.S. Postal Service should also be notified of your new address, so that your mail can be forwarded to your new address, without much interruption of service. In addition to getting all your services transferred to your new home, you should shop for the best possible price from a moving company. Moving company rates vary greatly, and it could become very expensive to move from one home to another. Some of the factors moving companies use to establish your costs are distance to the new home and the amount of goods that are being transported. Another option would be to rent a moving vehicle and doing the work yourself. This will certainly cut down your costs, but it is a lot of heavy work. The last thing you need to do when moving to a new place is to inform your family and friends of your new address. This is a courtesy for the most part, but it could help you in the long run. Be sure to change the locks on your new apartment or house. You never want to keep the same locks because you never want strangers to have access to your new home. Buying a home is a big life decision. There are many ways to go about finding a new home. One of the best ways to do this is to find a realtor. Realtors are professional people whose job is to find the right home for the right person. There are many variables involved in choosing where to live, and finding the right realtor can be just as challenging. The first thing to know is that realtors want to sell you a home. Most realtors work on a commission basis, which means they get paid a percentage of what the home costs. The amount of pay varies at different real estate companies. The best realtors want to keep their clients happy by getting them into a home they want and can afford. There are many reputable real estate companies operating in the United States. Some companies have offices in most of the major cities of the country. Some of the things to look for in a realtor are how many homes he or she has sold. It is okay to ask for this information. The realtor must be knowledgeable about homes and the areas you are looking to buy in. Look to see if the realtor is busy and if his office is listed online. Once you find the right realtor, your house will be next. Be sure to give the realtor all the information he or she asks for. Buyers usually know how much house they can buy. The California market for homes is very competitive, so homes are expensive here. It is good to know how much you can afford to pay per month before you go looking for a home. The area you buy your home can influence pricing to a great degree. The same home in one area could cost significantly more than in other neighborhoods, so shop carefully. Once you have settled into a new home, it is important to purchase an insurance policy to protect your home and belongings. Insurance for your property can pay off in many ways. It will cost a renter or homeowner very little money every month. The hope is that you will never need it. If that day ever comes, however, you will be very happy you have insurance. Insurance on your apartment or home can protect you from a large financial loss. Let's face it, sometimes good people become victims of crime. Some criminals are very sophisticated. They will watch a home for weeks to learn when it is more likely that no one will be in the home. Most people have a regular work schedule, so thieves may know when you leave for work and when you come home. Coming home to a burglarized house is an awful feeling. Beside the financial loss of having to replace all your hard-earned possessions, there comes a feeling of being vulnerable. You are just not as safe as you thought you were. Having insurance can help you overcome this. Being a victim of a burglary is not the only thing that insurance can protect you from. You may suffer a house fire, or a flood may destroy your home. Living in Southern California brings its own unique problems with earthquakes. Having an insurance policy can help you get back on your feet if any of these situations arise. If you are renting an apartment unit, renter's insurance is available at a low cost. Like any other purchase, the best thing to do is to do a little shopping around. Insurance rates vary by company. Take a little time to research the company and buy the policy that best fits your situation. You will not regret it. Moving into a new home or apartment can be very exciting, especially if it is the first time you have ever lived on your own. The thrill of renting or buying a new place can be wonderful. However, having your own place to live comes with responsibilities. Rent or mortgage payments, utilities, food, entertainment, and other bills must be paid in order to maintain a household. It is what adults do every day. However, there is another important thing, which is to get along with your new neighbors. If you are moving into a new home, it is important to get along with your new neighbors. Your neighbors will probably be strangers, but it does not have to stay like that. Since you will be seeing your new neighbors nearly every day, it might be smart to get to know them. Getting along with your neighbors can bring great advantages. Your neighbors can look after your home when you are away, and you can do the same for them. If you report suspicious people approaching their homes, they will return the favor. Getting along also means behaving in a civil manner. Remember, they can live very close to you, so it is good to be not too loud. Do not play music loudly. It's always a good idea to respect others' property. This is even more true if you are living in an apartment complex. Apartment living is more intimate than living in a home. Living in a home that has space between houses allows a bit more privacy, but living in an apartment usually means sharing a common wall. Sounds come through the walls at all hours of the day or night. The best approach you can use is to act in a way you would like your neighbors to act. No one likes neighbors who do not respect people's privacy. Be a good neighbor, and your neighbors will be good to you. One of the most important things a person can have is a good resume. Having a good resume increases a job seeker's chances of acquiring a good paying job. A resume is basically a promotional document that nearly all employers ask for when seeking to fill an open position. Think of a resume as a snapshot, or picture of you. It contains all the important information employers need to know who you are, and what your qualifications are. It also includes your educational background, your previous work experiences, special skills, certificates, and most importantly, contact information. A resume should be written in a short and concise manner. Job seekers should try to get as much information onto a resume as possible using the least number of words. The resume should not be more than 1 page in length, although for more experienced job seekers, a 2-page resume may be acceptable. Human resource professionals, who are responsible for finding new employees, want to know what talents a job seeker can bring to their organization, so a good way to start a resume is to have a skills section at the top. By listing your skills first, and her employee can quickly get an idea of what skills and talents the job seeker has. After listing your skills, you can then list either work experience or education. What comes after the skills section is an individual decision. For instance, if a person is looking for work straight after college, it would probably be best to list education first. However, if a person has a long work history, it might be best to begin with work experience. A good piece of advice would be to take your resume to a professional for review to see if you are going in the right direction. References are professionals who can attest to your character, work habits, promptness, and dedication to tasks given. Getting a good reference will help a person get a good job. The higher the status of the individual giving you a reference, the more significance it will carry with your prospective employer. If, for instance, you are applying for a job in the engineering field, it will be wise to ask your teachers, or other more established engineers if they would endorse you for a specific job. If they agree, you could list them on your references page. Many employers will ask for a resume when you first apply, and if they like what they see on your resume, in many cases, they will then ask for references. If you do not know any professionals in your area of study, which many students do not, a trusted teacher would be your best choice. If he or she agrees to allow you to list him or her as a personal reference, that would be an asset. Keep in mind that teachers and professionals do not automatically agree to this. Many will consider your abilities and dedication before they allow you to use them as references, so it is a good idea to ask those teachers with whom you have a good relationship with. The reference page is its own unique page separate from your resume. It needs to be labeled on your page as references or personal references. It must include the person's full name, title, and organization he or she belongs to. It must also contain contact information. This can be either a phone number, or an email address, or both. The more quality references you can list on your reference page, the better. There are many opportunities for work here in the United States. Many jobs exist in both private industry and government for the right candidates. Finding a job could be frustrating at times, but with the right attitude and persistence, a good job could be in your future. The best way to find a job is through the internet. There are many job-seeking websites such as Monster.com, Jobs.com, Indeed.com, Careerbuilders.com, and Simplyhired.com, to name a few. Using these sites to search for employment is a convenient way to find work, but it is not the only way available. More traditional methods for finding work are through newspapers, trade publications, schools, word of mouth, and the Employment Development Department (ED). The ED is a job service organization run by the state of California. Job seekers can visit any of its work source centers and register for work. Job seekers can find a work source center by visiting the ED website. Newspaper publications also publish open positions in the classified as section. This is how the majority of jobs were advertised before the advent of the internet, and jobs are still listed there. Most colleges have their own job service offices for students. Lastly, word-of-mouth advertising, which is simply hearing about an open position from a friend, colleague, or family member. Another effective way of finding employment is to network. Networking is the practice of going to conventions, trade shows, and conferences, where you get to know people working in your field. It's a good idea to invest in personal business cards to hand out at these events, which is a quick and efficient way to meet people and share your contact information. The more you put yourself out there, the better your chances of finding a good job. When a person starts looking for a job, employers will generally ask for 4 things. The first is an application. This document is provided by the employer either through direct contact at the employer's location, or online. Most applications are now filled online, but some organizations still accept hard copy applications. Once the application is submitted, the employer will contact you if he is interested in hiring you. This is when an applicant must begin to work on his or her personal documents. When submitting a resume to an employer, it is important to include a cover letter. A cover letter can either be a hard copy document on its own, or be written in the text area of an email. It is recommended that you create a cover letter and attach it to the email, along with your resume, when sending it in. You can then use the text area of the email to respond to the resume request and to indicate that you are including a cover letter. What goes into the cover letter is very important. This is where the applicant introduces himself or herself to the employer and tells the employer why the job is right for them. Your cover letter should thank the employer for the opportunity, briefly explain why you are interested in the job, and why you would be a good fit. It is a good idea to research the organization prior to writing your cover letter, so that you know a little about what the company does. This is also good advice when writing your resume. Always use good grammar and spelling, and don't forget to spell check your documents. Most resumes and cover letters are emailed into the organization's human resources department, but it is also a good idea to print a hard copy. A good paying job is nice to have, but to some people having a good benefits package is just as important, if not more important. Some of the typical benefits packages employers offer today are retirement accounts, medical and dental insurance, paid sick time off, vacation, and employee discounts on goods and services. Many employers, for instance, will pay medical insurance for employees, but not for their families. However, there are some companies that do include families at either no cost or low cost. This is especially attractive to some prospective employees with families as the cost of medical care is high in the United States. Many companies will help their employees plan for retirement with a 401k account. This retirement plan is available to employees who choose to take advantage of it. It usually involves a monthly contribution from the employee that is taken in the form of a payroll deduction. Some companies will match all or part of its employees' contributions. It's an attractive and sensible benefit. Dental insurance is also important to some employees. Dental care, like medical care, can be costly for those with no insurance. Fortunately, many companies offer this benefit. Like medical insurance, workers with families can benefit most from this insurance. Another important benefit most companies offer is paid sick time off work. No employee is immune to getting sick from time to time. It is good to know that when an employee is sick, he or she can take the necessary time off to heal. Vacation time is also important to many employees, as well as having discounts for goods and services provided by the company. In all, having a good benefits package can be even more important than having a high-paying job only. Once a person gets the job he or she wants, it then becomes important to be a good employee to the organization. The new employee should be a valuable addition to the team. There are many ways a person can be considered a good employee. Being prompt is a very important aspect of any job. If a person's working hours are from 8 o'clock a.m. to 4:30 p.m., for instance, it would be wise to be on time or a few minutes earlier. Allowing extra time for your trip to the office is always a good idea. Unexpected delays such as traffic accidents or foul weather can all cause you to be late. Commuter buses and trains could be delayed, too. Being late is never a good idea, but it is also important to be at work and ready to perform your duties every day. Most jobs still adhere to a 5-day schedule from Monday through Friday. There are many exceptions depending on the type of position you hold, but again, most people work a standard 5-day work week. Some other things a worker can do to be a good employee is to have a positive attitude about your job. An enthusiastic employee is a great asset to the employer. Dressing properly, being trustworthy, following the organization's rules, all help you become a good employee. One of the best things a person can have is to find a job that he or she really enjoys. There is an old saying that reads, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. Loving your job will be rewarding, satisfying, and it will give you a great attitude. When you first start working at a new job, you will meet people who may be very different from yourself. Not everyone comes from the same region, or have the same background that you do. It is important to know that different people may react differently about the same set of circumstances. This is not only true about your co-workers, but maybe even the management of the company you work for. Management styles vary from person to person. Some managers may want to micromanage everything you do, while others may take a more casual stance on supervision. An example of this could be the way managers react to tardiness. Some managers may not be bothered if you are a few minutes late to work, while others may become very angry if you are even a minute late to work. You must know what your manager is looking for from you. If you know your manager does not tolerate tardiness, come into work a little early to avoid angering him or her. Leaving your home a few minutes early can be helpful in case there is a situation that may make you late. Getting along with your co-workers is also very important. Try to find common ground between you and a co-worker. You may even be surprised that some of your co-workers have the same interests that you enjoy. It is always easier to work with someone that you have some connection with. Of course, you may find yourself working with someone that is difficult to get along with, but that does not mean you cannot work well together. It just may take both of you a little bit of effort. Communication is key in these types of situations. If your co-worker understands you, then working together may be easier. Getting a job is one of the most satisfying things people can do to help improve their lives. Living costs money. There are several costs associated with living on your own. The biggest one is usually the cost of a mortgage if you are fortunate enough to own a home. Rent can also be expensive depending on where you live. Then there are costs, such as car payments, insurance, food, clothing, and miscellaneous items. To live better, it is best to acquire a high-paying job. The higher the job pays, the easier it is to meet your financial responsibilities, but there are exceptions to that rule. Some people want to enjoy the work they do, and pay is secondary. Many jobs use a time clock system to keep track of the hours their employees work. If a worker works a set number of hours, usually 40, time clocks are an efficient way to keep track. It not only tracks the number of hours employees work, but it can also show if the employees are coming in on time and leaving after the work shift is over. You do not want your time clock to record too many late arrivals or absences. It is a good idea to come into work a few minutes early in case you are delayed on your trip. There are many ways an employee can be delayed on his or her trip to the workplace. If you drive your own car, there can be accidents or car failure. If you use public transportation, buses and trains can also be delayed, so give yourself a few extra minutes. It is always best to prepare for the unexpected. Once a person lands a new job, it is time to get serious about your work. Your place of employment, and the job you do there deserves your total attention. Your employer has selected you from a large pool of people who also applied for your job. Since they believed in you, it would be a good idea to do your absolute best with the tasks given to you. It does not matter what your tasks are. Whether it is working in an office or a warehouse, you want to do the very best you can. After all, you accepted the position. One of the most important things you can do to be efficient is to be proactive. Being proactive means that you actively seek out things to do that can improve your work situation. It might be something like tidying up your workstation. Do not wait until your boss tells you to clean up. Do it on your own if you see your workstation is messy. Another way to be proactive is to make suggestions on how to better do the tasks you are assigned. Finding new ways to help the company become more efficient will always get you noticed by your employer. Say, for instance, you are in charge of invoicing your customers' orders, but there is always a delay between when the products or services are delivered and when you get your paperwork for invoicing. Maybe the paperwork gets hung up in accounting, or in shipping and receiving. Who knows? If you have a suggestion that improves the flow of paperwork, then suggest it to your boss. Don't be disappointed if they do not like your idea though. Your suggestion shows your employer that you are thinking, and are a contributing member of the company, which is always a good thing. The union system in the United States is very intricate and complex. Unions exist in just about every industry. They serve to represent employees in several ways. Some are more aggressive than others. They all gain strength from the number of workers in the union. The greater the number of workers is, the stronger the union is. Unions, sometimes called labor unions, represent more than 10% of the labor force in the country today. Unions collect monthly dues from each of their workers, usually through payroll deductions. It is a good idea to learn whether or not a company you may want to work with has a union. Once you are a member of a union, you belong to an organization that will deal with the company's management in several different ways. The single most important thing unions do for their workers is to negotiate pay rates and benefits packages. The idea is that there is strength in numbers. Having a union representative negotiate a pay raise with a company is better than having to negotiate on your own. Once pay rates are established, every worker doing the same job gets the same pay. Unions also negotiate benefits packages, which include retirement. A strong union can protect workers from being taken advantage of by a company. Most union jobs are in the manufacturing industry, and the jobs there are highly desirable. It is not easy to get into one of these jobs, but if you are fortunate enough to land a union job, you may like it. Even in the face of all this, unions are on the decline in the United States. A lower number of workers in the US belong to unions today. There are many reasons for this, but mainly it is because the labor laws in the country protect workers much like unions did years ago. One of the best feelings anyone can have is when they buy their first car. Buying a car may seem like an easy thing to do, but it is a bit more than that. Buying the right car to fit a particular need is not as easy as it seems. The first thing a new car buyer should do is to figure out how much he or she can buy. Car prices range from a couple of $1,000s for a used vehicle to over $10,000 or $20,000 for a new one. Once a buyer determines the price of a car that he or she can afford, it is time to start shopping. One way to shop for a car is to use the internet. There are many websites that deal exclusively in finding the right car for any person. Try Cars.com, or AutoTrader.com for starters. Additionally, most major car dealerships have their own online websites, where prospective buyers can sit in the comfort of their own home and search for cars. All of these websites let buyers narrow their search using filters, such as minimum and maximum prices, make, model, year, color, and new or used. These are very powerful tools that are available to consumers with just a click of the mouse. Another way to find a car is the old-fashioned way, that is, to visit a car dealership and talk to a salesperson. Once a car is purchased, it must be registered with the Department of Motor Vehicles (DMV). For most new car sales through dealerships, the registration is taken care of for the consumer. The registration paperwork and fees are sent directly to the DMV. When a used car is purchased through a private owner, the registration has to be done by the buyer. It is a simple process. Just go to the DMV with the paperwork, pay the fee, and they'll do the rest. Unlike many countries in the world, the United States traffic flows on the right-hand side of the road. This may cause some confusion for persons who come from a country that drives on the left. The tradition of driving on the right goes back to before the advent of the automobile. The first law enacted to require people to drive on the right was passed in the city of Philadelphia in 1792. Cities throughout the country soon followed, and the tradition became common. In addition to driving on the right, most Americans use various lights installed into vehicles to signal other drivers of their intentions. The most used lights on a car are the headlights, high beams, turn signals, emergency flashes, and backup lights. Headlights and high beams are used in night driving. It is illegal to drive with high beams constantly on because they can blind drivers driving in the opposite direction, but headlights are required at all times after dark. Turn signals let other drivers know you are about to make a turn to either the right or the left. These signals should be used every time a vehicle is about to make a turn. Emergency flashes are continuously blinking yellow lights that drivers use when their vehicle is disabled or they are experiencing an emergency. Backup lights are white lights that come on whenever the car's transmission is put into the reverse mode. These lights help the driver see what's behind them when backing up. All of these signal lights are important for the safe operation of a motor vehicle. By using these tools properly, a driver can make driving for all people a safe and enjoyable experience. In today's fast-paced world, people find themselves rushing from place to place during their busy days. It is normal to run several errands to multiple locations during any given day, and most people do this in their own private vehicle. Individuals who have infant children must use child safety seats wherever they go with their kids. It is not only a good idea, but also required by law. In California, children under 2 years of age must ride in a rear-facing car seat in the back seat unless that child weighs more than 40 pounds, or is more than 40 inches tall. If a child exceeds this height and weight requirement, he or she must then be secured in a car seat, or booster seat until the age of 8. Again, these seats must be placed in the back seat of a car. It isn't until a child is 8 years old, or has reached 4 minutes 9 seconds in height that he or she can ride using only an adult seat belt. It is mandatory that passengers over the age of 16 must wear adult seat belts. It is further recommended that a child should be kept in a car seat or booster seat for as long as possible. Even though it may sound like a good idea to move a child from a smaller car seat to a larger one, the California Highway Patrol advises to keep your child in a car seat for as long as the manufacturer recommends it. In other words, if a child seat manufacturer places a limit on how large a child can be to use a particular seat, then parents should keep their children in those seats until they reach that limit. It's all about child safety. One of the worst decisions anyone can make is to drive a car after having too many alcoholic drinks. Alcohol will affect drivers in a way they may not even realize. Alcohol is a depressant that slows down a person's reactions. It also affects different people in different ways. Some people can have a beer or two, or maybe a couple of cocktails without being negatively affected, while others will be severely impaired with the same amount. For those who have a lower threshold for alcoholic drinks, even 1 or 2 drinks can mean trouble when driving an automobile. Not only is drinking and driving not a good idea, it is against the law. In the United States, driving under the influence (DUI) of drugs or alcohol is a very serious offense. If a person is caught by the police on a DUI charge, it will mean trouble for that person. Being convicted of DUI can mean the loss of the person's driver's license, a large fine, and worst of all, it may mean jail time. Drinking and driving could also be dangerous. If a person drives after having a few too many drinks, his or her driving skills will not be as good as they should be. Drivers must have control at all times. Remember, a driver is operating a vehicle that weighs about 2,000 pounds, which could reach speeds of up to 100 miles per hour. Driving a car is a great responsibility. Drunk drivers can cause accidents, injuries, and even deaths. So the next time you are going out for a good time, please consider using a ride-sharing service or a taxi. Enjoy yourself. Have a few drinks, but be smart. The life you save may be your own. Most large cities in the United States have their own police departments, and part of these departments' duties is traffic control. Whenever a person is driving through any city, it is a good idea to obey all the traffic laws. Some of the basic laws, like stopping at red lights, speeding, and making U-turns, are similar in most cities, but that is not always the case. Sometimes what is legal in one city might be illegal in another. It is wise to check the traffic laws in cities where drivers work and live. Whenever drivers are stopped or pulled over by a policeman, it is important to move the vehicle into the nearest, safe area near a curb. Drivers will know they are being pulled over by the flashing red and blue lights atop of the police car. This is a signal that the police want you to stop. The reasons police pull cars over are many. It could be that the driver was going too fast, or that he or she failed to stop at a traffic light or stop sign. It could also be because one of the car's lights is out, or the vehicle registration is expired. These are just some of the reasons police pull drivers over. There are certain things drivers need to do whenever they are faced with this situation. The first thing a driver should do is to comply with any instructions the police officer may be giving them over the speaker. If no instructions are given, pull to the nearest safe spot and wait in the driver's seat until the officer comes to the door. Always be polite and give the officer your driver's license, proof of insurance, and current registration. Remember, you should always be respectful. Driving in California, and in the rest of the United States, is a privilege. All states have a system in place to test a potential driver's knowledge and skill behind the wheel before issuing a driver's license. Some traffic laws can be tricky, but if drivers are well informed about the driving laws in the state, they can avoid getting ticketed. Some of the basic laws are easy to understand. Traffic signals, stop and yield signs, school zones, and crosswalks are all easily visible and are not complicated. For example, traffic signals use 3 colors: red, amber, yellow, and green. Red means to stop and green to go. Amber is used to notify drivers that the green light they are approaching is about to change to red. Whenever a driver sees an amber light in the distance, he or she should begin slowing down in anticipation of the red stop light. Arrows are also used to indicate direction. The same 3 colors are used with arrows, so there can be no confusion as to what to do when you see a directional signal. Stop and yield signs are easy to follow, but school zones and crosswalks can be confusing. School zones generally mean to slow down, but this is only during school hours. The rest of the time, there are no additional speeding restrictions in a school zone. Crosswalks are important only when there are people using them, or about to use them. Drivers must slow down when a person is approaching a crosswalk. The single most important thing to watch while driving is your speed. Going faster than the posted speed limit will almost always get you a ticket if you are seen by the police. So slow down, and pay attention to traffic signs and signals to avoid a ticket and fine. Driving a car in the United States is a privilege. It's one of the greatest experiences you can have in the States. A person who drives a car has the freedom to go wherever he or she wants, for the most part. However, driving a car comes with responsibilities. One of the primary responsibilities is that a driver must have auto insurance. Car insurance, like most other insurances, is designed to protect the buyer, in this case, the car owner, from suffering great expenses in an emergency situations. No matter how good a driver you may be, there are many other drivers on the road, and many of them may not be as good a driver as you are. It is important to recognize this since you are sharing the road with them. There are 2 basic types of car insurance: liability and collision. The state of California requires that all drivers carry liability insurance. Collision insurance is optional unless the driver has borrowed money to buy the car from a financial institution. In that case, the bank or credit union will require the driver to purchase collision insurance. Liability insurance is a part of the general insurance system of risk financing to protect the insured person from the risks of liabilities from lawsuits and similar claims. It protects the policy holder in the event he or she is sued for claims that come within the coverage of the insurance policy. For the most part, liability insurance will cover a person from financial damages caused by the insured. So if you cause an accident, liability insurance will protect you. It will cover property damage and bodily harm damage up to the amount of insurance purchased, so think carefully about any financial caps you set on your insurance. The best thing to do, as always, is to shop around. Most people have a regular work or school schedule to adhere to. Many jobs and classes are conducted during the early morning to mid-afternoon hours, but of course there are exceptions. In California, there are many ways to get to work and school during these rush hours. This includes public transportation, such as commuter trains and buses. Additionally, many people use their own transportation to get to and from where they are going. This is where carpooling and high occupancy vehicles lanes come in handy. Carpooling is where a group of people join together to share a ride to work or school. Some large companies encourage their employees to carpool and actually help match people with each other. It is a simple concept. 2 or more people who live close to each other and work in the same place can make arrangements to meet at specific times and in specific locations to share rides. The more people who join a carpool, the better the benefits. Having 4 people in your group is better than 2 because the more people who contribute to expenses, the less each individual pays. Expenses usually include gas and toll fares. Additionally, each person takes turns using his or her car, which saves wear on their vehicles. Another benefit that comes from carpooling is that you get to use the half lanes on freeways. These lanes are reserved for carpools, meaning not everyone can use them. They are generally free of traffic congestion and can make your commute to work or school a quick and easy trip. So if you are interested in saving a little money on gas or not using your car every day, look to your peers to start a carpool. All it takes is one other person to start a carpool, and the benefits may prove to be a pleasant experience. The United States of America has a large and complex network in place for getting from one place to another throughout the country. These travel methods serve well not only Americans whenever they go on vacation or on a business trip to another city, but also those who work or attend school in the same city they live in. In California, which is the most populous state in the country and the third largest in area, getting around is easy. There are commuter trains to take people quickly and efficiently to and from work, school, or when on recreation. Additionally, nearly every city has bus service that commuters can use to reach other neighborhoods. Southern California boasts the largest car culture in the country. Nearly everyone in the region owns a car that they use on a daily basis to get to work, school, or elsewhere. In recent years there has been great importance placed on expanding the existing commuter train system in California. In Southern California, Metro has added a number of new commuter train lines that help residents get from place to place. The same situation exists in other large cities and regions throughout the state. California has also decided to build a high-speed rail line, linking Southern California with Northern California. This bullet train is currently under construction and should be in place in the near future. Once it is built, it will give travelers who would normally fly an option to take the train instead. This is good news to those who are afraid of flying, or do not have time to take a bus. Other ways of getting around in the country have appeared in recent years. Car-sharing services such as Uber and Lyft have come onto the scene. These services are similar to taking a traditional taxi, and are very popular. All these services will pick you up and take you to your destination for a fee. One of the first things you may want to do, when you first begin earning an income, is to open bank accounts. It is a good way to begin your financial independence. Putting a little money away every month can help you build a savings that can, in time, open new financial doors for you. Money saved can be very useful for a number of different reasons. One of the biggest reasons to have a savings account is that you will have money to draw from if you, or someone you love, have an emergency. It gives you a good feeling to know that you can help if the time ever comes. Checking accounts allow you to use your money in different ways. They are tied to a debit card that a person can use just about anywhere. Debit cards are direct withdrawals from your checking account. You can also write a check in any amount that is covered by your checking account balance. Most places of business, schools, and government agencies accept checks. The United States government ensures most savings and checking accounts opened in banks, so your money is safer in a bank than it is put at home. You want to open the right account for you. Financial institutions will help you save your money and grow your wealth in different ways. Some pay more interest than others. Others give the saver rewards that can be redeemed in several different ways. Some banks have higher fees than others. In any event, the best way to find a bank is by doing a little research before you commit to a bank. One of the great things about being independent is the freedom that comes from that independence. Living on your own, or sharing a place with someone else, comes with financial responsibilities though. To be able to pay your share of rent and living expenses, it is a good idea to create a budget. A budget is the practice of gathering your income and expenses to help you keep track of your spending, so that you won't fall short at the end of the month. Along with your monthly rent are food, clothing, utilities, transportation, phones, and entertainment. There may be other expenses you have to pay monthly, but those depend on the individual's lifestyle. Only you can determine what expenses have the most priority in your life. Managing money can be a tricky thing. There often are unexpected expenses that come up from time to time, so it is a good idea to try to save a portion of your monthly income. Having some savings can be very helpful when an unexpected bill comes your way. Accounting for all your monthly expenses can also help you identify whether or not you are living within your budget. If you find that you have more expenses than income, a budget will help you see where you can cut corners. If, for instance, you are paying too much for your cell phone, you may want to get a cheaper plan. If you are paying too much rent, then it might be wise to move to a more affordable place, or take in a roommate. Whatever financial issue you may be having, a budget will help you figure it out. The United States has a well-developed economic structure. Banks are in the business of lending money, holding savings, helping buy homes, and providing credit to those who are qualified. A credit card can be a useful tool if used wisely. It gives people a sense of freedom by giving them the power to purchase products without cash. Basically, credit card use is a bank loan that the user promises to pay back with interest. Credit card transactions are common in the United States. To acquire a credit card, you can visit a bank, or go online to find banks offering cards. Banks base their interest rate on a person's credit history and assets. The better your credit history, the better position you will be in to get the best credit card interest rate. Interest rates vary greatly. Some can be as high as 20 to 25%, while others are well under 10%. When a person first applies for a credit card with little or no credit history, the interest rate will not be as low as it is for a person who has a well-established credit history. However, don't become discouraged. Everyone has to start somewhere. A new credit card holder will probably be limited to a $500 credit line. This is a figure that many banks use for new credit card customers. This limit is in place until the card holder shows that he or she is a responsible person by making the monthly payments on time. If the credit card payment is due on the 25th day of each month, it will be a good idea to pay it a day or two before that date. With that done, the credit line will increase, giving the user more freedom to use his or her card. Writing and receiving checks is a practice that is not as popular in the United States as it was before the electronic era, but it is still used by some companies, banks, credit unions, and individuals. Writing checks was the only way, other than paying cash, to pay bills in the past. But with the advent of the internet and online banking, it is used sparingly today. Still, most lenders will accept written checks as payment for most bills. Most companies pay their employees electronically today, but some still issue checks. Paychecks are issued either every week or every other week. In order for an employee to cash the check, he or she will need proper identification. Accepted IDs would be a state driver's license, or a state-issued identification card. People can go to any department of motor vehicles in any state to acquire an ID. Once a person has an ID, he or she can go to a bank, credit union, or check cashing business to cash their check. It is a simple process. The best thing to do is to open a checking or savings account at a bank where you plan to cash your checks. This way you can avoid charges from check cashing businesses for their services. Writing a check is easy, too. Once you have a checking account and enough funds to cover your checks, you can use your checks at many retail outlets. Checks can also be used to pay back personal loans to friends or family. Remember, writing good checks that will not give the recipients trouble cashing can be to your advantage. Your reputation and credit rating can be established or damaged depending on how good your checks are. One of the worst things you can do is to write checks when you do not have the funds to cover them. Be responsible, not to write bad checks. Having a good paying job is great. It allows you to pay your rent or mortgage, pay your bills, go out to enjoy yourself, and build a little savings. Having savings is a good way to start building your wealth, but not the only way. The best thing you can do is to have your money work for you. The most basic way this can be done is to put your savings into a high-yield account that pays the best interest. Shopping around at different financial institutions would be a good idea, so that you get the best interest for the amount of money you have to invest. Additionally, new technology, in the form of investment applications, have made it easier and more convenient to begin building your finances. With new technology, all you need to start is an investment app and a smart phone. These apps can help you get started investing, track and project your investments, and establish a goal. The more traditional ways to save are simple. Most investors suggest you first have 6 months worth of savings in your account before you begin investing. The best way to start saving is to put away a portion of your pay. If, for instance, you save just $10 per week, at the end of the year, you will have saved more than $500. Another smart investment option is to enroll in your company's retirement plan. Many companies will match your investment dollars with their own. This can be a powerful way to invest in the future and have a nice retirement income when the time comes. Mutual funds are also attractive to new investors. These funds are low investment startup programs that require between $500 to $5,000 initial contributions. These funds automatically invest your money based on market trends. Virtually everyone in the United States has a credit report. Credit reports are an important factor in the lives of most people. These reports are like a running log, or diary, or your credit transactions. A good credit report can be a great asset to an individual, just as a poor report can make it difficult for people to better their lives. There are 3 major credit report agencies in the US: TransUnion, Equifax and Experian. All work in the same way. The agencies take your credit history, accounts, and trends to establish your personal credit rating. It is a complicated process, but if you apply some common sense financial practices, you can raise your rating as time goes by. The most basic aspect of any credit rating is how individuals pay their bills. Too many missed payments or late payments will lower your score, so it is important to always make your payments on time. Another consideration is having too many credit card accounts. Once you have a good credit rating, you will begin getting offers from banks that want your business. The general rule is to have no more than a couple of credit cards. If you are going to have multiple accounts, it is best to have one Visa and one MasterCard, although some people prefer American Express cards. Another thing to watch for is your balances. Credit card balances are important because they show the credit bureaus how you manage your accounts. It is best to use no more than 60% of your credit card limit. So, if you have a $1,000 credit limit, try to keep your balance around $600. If you use too much of your balance, it tells the bureaus that you are stretched for money. Be smart with your accounts, and a good credit rating will follow. Identity theft can be one of the most devastating financial crimes that a person can suffer. The crime happens when someone uses information about you for his or her financial gain, without your permission. Whenever a person has their identity stolen, the criminal can break into their bank accounts, use their active credit cards to purchase goods and services, and acquire new credit cards. Once a person has his or her identity stolen, it can take years to recover from the theft. However, there are some steps you can take that will help protect your identity and your assets. One of the most important things to do is to protect your social security number (SSN). This number is what the government, employers, and financial institutions use to track your financial life. The SSN should be kept in a safe place, and the number should be used carefully. Do not give it out to anyone you don't trust. Other things to consider are your billing statements, credit reports, receipts, and bank statements. Look for unauthorized charges on your credit cards, and for new credit information on your credit reports. The sooner you detect any unusual financial activity, the easier it will be to repair the damage. Identity theft can affect more than your credit scores or bank accounts though. Some of the less apparent effects can be losing employment opportunities since many employers use credit information as a screening tool for new hires. With your identity information, people can compromise your income tax returns. It also can prevent victims from opening new credit accounts or making a major purchase. The identity theft issues must be cleaned up in order to move forward with any large purchases and get the best interest rates. So take care of your financial identity, and you can reduce your chances of becoming an identity theft victim. The 911 telephone emergency call system is one of the most important things newcomers should know about if they are planning to live in the United States. This is a phone number that everyone can use to call for help in an emergency. Typical emergency calls can be made to 911 if you feel in danger of any kind. The number can also be used to report other emergencies, such as fires, automobile accidents, personal injuries, or thefts. The 911 emergency number is a very useful tool that was first put into use in the late 1960s, but it wasn't until the early 1980s that most of the country had the system in place. Today, 96% of the United States has a 911 call system in place. Additionally, 911 can be called from just about every phone in the country. A person can use their personal cell phone, a public pay phone, a home phone, or business work phone to make the call. 911 is an important number to remember. An example of when a person can call 911 is when he or she witnesses an auto accident. If a person is driving through the streets or freeways and witnesses an accident, it would be smart to call 911 to report the accident. Many things can happen when there is an auto accident, and some may not be apparent. The drivers and passengers could be injured and in need of medical attention. By calling 911, the proper authorities will be notified in the fastest possible way. The 911 operator will contact the police department and emergency medical personnel, who will respond quickly to the call for help. This call could save someone's life, and that life may even be a loved one. An emergency room is a medical facility that serves people who are in need of emergency medical treatment. Sometimes ERs are called trauma centers. It is important to know a few things about services before you go to one when you are in need of immediate medical attention. The first thing you should do is to locate the nearest in the neighborhood you live in, since that is where you spend the majority of your time. It would also be a good idea to know where the ERs are near your place of work or school. ERs are for emergency treatment only. If you are in an auto accident, or have fallen and feel confused, it may be good to get to an to get checked out. Other symptoms that may require services are shortness of breath, severe pain, pressure on the chest, or changes in your vision. In cases of severe trauma, emergency medical personnel such as paramedics will be sent to your location for assessment and treatment. If this occurs and it is determined that you need further emergency treatment, the paramedics or an ambulance will transport you to the nearest center. It is also important to know that ears are expensive, so if you don't have medical insurance, a visit to an ER can be expensive. This is not to say that you must have insurance to receive emergency medical treatment though. Ears cannot refuse treatment to any person regardless of their ability to pay for the service. Be prepared to answer questions that medical personnel will ask. Sometimes these questions may seem too personal, but it is necessary to know as much about you before medical providers can treat you properly. When an accident happens, and someone gets hurt, the injured person has the option to go to an emergency room or an urgent care center. An urgent care center provides medical services to those that are in need of medical care that is not life-threatening. Life-threatening injuries or illnesses should always be treated at an ER. For example, if you are in an auto accident and suffer great injuries, or if you think you are having a heart attack, it is best to go directly to an emergency room, not an urgent care facility. Many times emergency medical personnel, responding to your call will take you to an ER automatically. Some of the typical ailments that may be considered treatable by an urgent care facility include sprained ankles, muscle strains, breathing difficulties, fever or flu, severe sore throat, and skin irritations. Most of the time, these conditions do not require a visit to the ER and can be treated at an urgent care center. However, if a person goes to an urgent care facility, and it is determined that his or her condition requires an ER visit, the professionals at these facilities will arrange transportation to an ER. Some conditions are not treatable at urgent care centers. Another difference between the two is that emergency rooms are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, whereas urgent care facilities are open and available during the center's regular working hours. Most major medical facilities offer urgent care treatment and services. If you visit a particular medical center regularly, it would be a good idea to check to see if it provides urgent care to its patrons. In order to maintain good health, it is a good idea to see a doctor on a regular basis. By seeing a doctor regularly, he or she can note any changes that may have occurred in your overall health that you may not be aware of. When a person first sees a doctor, his or her staff will ask you to fill in a medical information sheet. Many personal questions will be included in this questionnaire, but keep in mind that the reason for this is done with your health care in mind. This sheet will be used to assess your health condition before you undergo a physical examination. It is important to note that you should be as truthful about your health as you can be, even if that truth may be embarrassing. By being completely honest with your doctor, he or she will have a better idea of how to proceed with your treatment if treatment is necessary. One of the questions that may be listed is about your medical history. In order to move forward with a treatment plan, it is important for a doctor to know of any illnesses you have dealt with in the past. If, for instance, there is a history of cancer or heart disease in your family, this information could be very valuable to your doctor. Other questions may include drinking and smoking habits, allergies, and the medications you are currently taking. All this information helps healthcare professionals develop a profile of your current medical condition and identify, through your family history, any issues that may come up in the future. All information shared with a healthcare professional is kept in complete confidentiality, meaning your doctor will never share your personal information with anyone else. So be truthful when filling in any information a doctor is asking for. One of the best skills a person can learn is how to perform first aid. First aid is the practice of giving emergency care to someone who has suffered any injury and is in need of help. There are many ways to administer first aid to an injured person, but the steps you take are determined by the type of injury. There are, however, some basic steps to take. The first thing you should do is to take a look at your surroundings to see if it is safe to approach the injured person. If the person is alert, ask a few basic questions that will help you determine what to do next. Some questions you can ask are, how were you injured? Do you have any pain? If so, where? What did you eat last? Is there anything about your medical history that can help? These simple questions can help you assess the person's condition before you get started. The next thing a first aid administrator should do is ask for permission from the injured person to perform first aid. It would also be wise to tell them exactly what you are going to do before you do it. If the person is unconscious, try to proceed to the best of your ability. A first aid kit would help, and if there is anyone else around you, it would be good to ask for help. Call 911 and try to calm the person down by reassuring him or her that help is on the way. Unless you have medical training, these are the best steps to take in an emergency situation. These small steps can mean the difference between someone's life or death. Your family and friends will all appreciate the first aid you have performed. One day you may be at a party, or at work, or maybe just enjoying a movie, or doing a little shopping, when something serious happens around you. Choking is no laughing matter. When a person is choking, his or her airway is obstructed and the person cannot breathe. Let's say you are at a restaurant, when your guest, or maybe even a complete stranger, begins to gasp for air and clutches at his or her neck. This is a clear sign that something is very wrong, but what do? Your actions in the next few minutes can mean the life or death of a person right in front of you. Choking is the mechanical obstruction of the flow of air from the environment into the lungs. Choking prevents breathing, and can be partial or complete, with partial choking allowing some, although inadequate, flow of air into the lungs. Prolonged or complete choking results in asphyxia, which leads to anoxia, and is potentially fatal. Oxygen stored in the blood and lungs can keep a person alive for several minutes after breathing stops, so you can see how important it is for you to act, and to act quickly. If a person can still breathe and talk, coughing often does the trick. But when someone is truly choking, it means the food or object is completely blocking the airway and air cannot flow into and out of the lungs. When the person cannot cough the object out and cannot breathe, talk, or even make noise, it means choking is severe. You should begin by using the Heimlich maneuver, but it is important that you are trained in administering this treatment. If you are not trained in the Heimlich maneuver, find someone who is, or call the 911 emergency number immediately. Driving a car is a great experience. It is an expression of freedom. There is nothing like taking a casual drive on a warm, sunny day up a coastal highway, or a mountain pass. The scenery, fresh air, and new surroundings will please you greatly. Unfortunately, you must always be on the alert for other drivers. Some drivers may not be as cautious as you, and that is why you must always be alert. Even the best drivers get into accidents, and sometimes they can be at fault, too. No one is perfect, and mistakes can happen. Once an accident has happened, it is important to file a claim with your insurance company as soon as possible. Insurance claims are investigated by the insurance company, which means the circumstances surrounding the accident are carefully examined. Usually, when an accident occurs, the local police department will arrive at the scene and write a report. This report is a very important document that your insurance company is sure to request after you place a claim. The report will describe in detail what the police officer has determined has happened to cause the accident. Who caused the accident is very important to insurance companies, because whoever is at fault will be the one who pays for the damages caused by the accident. So if someone drives through a stop sign and hits you, the accident is that person's fault and his or her insurance must pay for your damages. If it is you who goes through the stop sign, then it is your fault, and your insurance must pay. If the accident is not your fault, a police report will support your claim that the accident is not your fault. Most claims can be filed online today, but it may be a good idea to go to your insurance carrier's office to file in person. That way there is no confusion. Life is full of obstacles. Sometimes these obstacles arise, and may be too much for a person to deal with given the complexity of the legal system in the United States. If a person ever finds him or herself in need of legal services, it is best to find an attorney to help resolve the issue. Lawyers can be very helpful people in these times. There are many different situations where a lawyer may be needed. The question that arises is, where do I find a good, affordable lawyer to help me in my time of need? There are several ways to find a good lawyer, but the best place to start is at the State Bar Association. In California, the Bar Association's website can give referrals for any legal issue you may have. Some of the more common areas of law practiced in the state are personal injury, family, criminal, bankruptcy, and immigration laws, but that is not all. There are lawyers available for just about any legal issue you may find yourself in. Check with the California Bar Association for a more detailed list of attorney services. In the United States, legal help is available for individuals who suffer a fall, for example, or are thinking about a divorce. Sometimes, some people make mistakes, and may be in need of a criminal lawyer. The State Bar Association can help there, too. Additionally, those seeking protection of their assets can file a bankruptcy lawsuit with the help of a lawyer. Lastly, if you are experiencing immigration issues, attorneys who specialize in immigration law can be of great assistance. The C-Bar can even help you find a low-cost attorney if you find yourself short of cash. The C-Bar can be reached online at www.calbar.gov. One of the most important days of the year is April 15th, which is the deadline for all the United States citizens to file income tax forms. Income tax is a tax placed on working individuals on the money they earned the previous year. Both the state and federal governments impose this tax, and in some cases, city and county also. For most individuals, the employer deducts your federal and state taxes from each pay period. The amount they take from workers is based on a W-4 form that is filled out as part of the hiring process. Each company is required by law to hold income tax from their employees, with few exceptions, in order to gain legal employment in the U.S. A person must have a social security number (SSN). This is the number individuals use to file their taxes each year. The most common federal tax form used by individuals is the Form 1040, followed by the 1040S. These federal tax forms are similar, but the Form 1040 is more complex. The 1040S is a form that many new employees use, especially if they do not earn much money. The rate that a person is taxed is partially based on the number of dependents that person has. For instance, if an individual has a wife and 3 children, the husband can claim 5 dependents including himself. This person will be taxed at a lower rate than a person who has only 1 or 2 dependents. When filling out the employer's W-4 form, individuals must be honest about the number of dependents they claim. The Internal Revenue Service (IRS) is the agency that collects income taxes for the federal government, and in California, it is the State Tax Franchise Board. Tax forms are available online at www.irs.gov for federal taxes and at www.ftb.ca, Gov for California. Occasionally, people in the United States get into conflict with other people who they may or may not know. It could be a result of a traffic accident, or a dispute over ownership of an item. The court system tries to get people to resolve their problems without bringing those problems into small claims court, but that is not always possible. When 2 or more people have a conflict they cannot resolve on their own, small claims court may be a good option to explore. Small claims court is a special court where disputes are resolved quickly and inexpensively. In this court, the rules are simplified and the hearing is informal. Attorneys are generally not allowed. The person who files the claim is called the plaintiff. The person against whom the claim is filed is called the defendant. Additionally, you do not need to be a U.S. citizen to file a suit in this court. Here are some of the things individuals can file a suit for in small claims court. If your former landlord refused to return a security deposit you paid, you can take him to small claims court to get your money back. Another common suit is when a person causes a traffic accident and refuses to pay for the repair of the victim's car. In the US, the person who is at fault of the accident is almost always responsible to pay for the damages he or she caused. Another common small claims court case comes when a person lends money to someone who refuses to pay it back. This is definitely something the court can help you with. These are just a few examples of what a person can sue for in small claims court. For more information, visit the California Consumer Affairs website. In the United States of America, a complex educational system exists. It is designed to provide academic skills to its residents. People living in the US can begin their education as early as the age of 3 and continue their academic careers well into adulthood. How long someone goes to school varies greatly from individual to individual. It all depends on what individuals want from the educational system and life in general. Some people are satisfied with achieving a high school diploma, while others strive for higher education. By the time children reach the age of 3, parents will often enroll them into preschool. Some schools offer classes for children who are as young as 2, but 3 is usually the youngest age children begin their education. After preschool comes kindergarten to 6th grade in the public school system. The 6th grade is the last year of elementary school. Once a child has completed elementary school, he or she will be enrolled into high school, which is from grade 9 through 12. When students reach the 12th grade, they have completed their required education. Beyond the 12th grade, furthering your education is optional. At college level in California, the state offers 3 options to continue your academic career. They are the community college system, the California State University system, and the University of California system. Each system is unique. Where a student enrolls depends on the student and what that student's goals are. These are the choices students have for their education. However, there is another choice available, which is a private school. Private schools operate much like public schools with some differences. It is important to look into all your options to see what the best options for you are. Many students in the United States school system have set professional goals for themselves after their academic careers are over. The U.S. has an extensive network of colleges and universities spread out throughout the country. The common denominator every one of these schools has is the grade point average GPA. This statistic is used to help select students who apply to an institution of higher learning. A student's GPA is a strong indicator of how he or she will perform at the university level, but it is not the only thing universities measure. Many other factors come into play when a person applies for entrance to a university. Extracurricular activities, community involvement, and personal hardships are all considered in the application process. However, the first thing schools look at is the GPA. GPA in the US are a standardized method of measuring a student's academic performance. It is based on a 4.0 scale and works together with the A to F grading system. Generally speaking, a grade will earn the student a 4.0 GPA. If the student receives a B, then his or her GPA comes in at 3.0. C grades equal a 2.0, D 1.0 and an F grade is 0.0. If a student takes 4 classes and receives 2 A's, 1 B and a C, his or her GPA would be 3.25, which is acceptable at many schools, but not all. The best thing to do is to try to get as many A grades as possible to increase your chances at getting into a highly rated school. The top universities in the country require a GPA of at least 3.5, but it is best to get as close to 4.0 as possible. Most students who apply at top-rated universities have well over a 3.5 GPA. The importance of a student's grade point average GPA cannot be understated. This measure of a student's academic performance is an important factor when he or she decides to apply to a university. It is, however, not the only consideration. One of the most important factors universities look at is the student's extracurricular activities. Extracurricular activities are simply the work students do outside his or her academic studies. These activities can include joining campus groups or clubs, community involvement, organizing or participating in social or politically themed events, or fundraising for a cause important to that student. Extracurricular activities take many forms and are important to achieving the student's academic goals. One of the easiest ways to get involved in extracurricular activities is to simply join a campus club. There are many clubs on campus that might interest students. To find a list of the clubs your high school or college has to offer, go to the Associated Student Union, a student government organization, to ask for a list. Additionally, nearly every department has a club associated with it. For instance, the psychology department probably has a psychology club. The engineering department will also have a club or two. The same goes for math and English departments, but there are many more available to choose from. Community involvement is another good way to show university officials your extracurricular activities. There are countless volunteer opportunities students can engage in, which help both the community and the student. Working with the homeless or disabled residents of the community looks good on a college application. Getting politically involved with a cause or a specific political candidate can also show university officials your commitment to improving your life and the lives of others. The more a student is involved in extracurricular activities, the better. In the United States there are many different types of schools students can enroll in after high school. In California, students have 3 public colleges and universities to choose from. They are the community college system, which has more than 113 schools statewide, the 23 Calories State Universities, and the 10 University of California schools. Each school is unique from the other. The community college system can be seen as a stepping stone for admittance into a Cal State or UC school. They offer lower division classes that are transferable to both university systems. Cal State schools are more education-based, while UCs are more research-based schools, so where a student attends after high school or community college depends on the individual. One other option exists for those seeking a college education. It is vocational school. Vocational schools are generally not part of California's public school system, although there are exceptions. Some of the Cal States offer vocational courses in various fields. These schools include Cal Poly Pomona, Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, and Cal State Channel Islands. These 3 schools offer vocational training in specific areas that might appeal to some students. Traditional vocational schools can be found throughout the state. These schools offer classes in nearly all vocational studies, such as automotive technology, information technology, and technical trainings in the medical field. Vocational schools can be an attractive option for some students who do not want to commit to a 4-year college program. Students who attend these schools can earn both degrees and certificates in their chosen fields in as little as 6 months to a couple of years depending on the course of study. Be sure to check the graduation and job placement rates for these schools before selecting one. One of the most important decisions a parent has to make is where to place his or her child into school. It is the second most important decision you will make as a parent apart from deciding to have children in the first place. It is a very personal decision that is based on many factors. Some of those factors are having a strong teacher and child relationship, ensuring the school you choose is proficient in math and English studies, and picking a school your child is comfortable with. The connection between a child and a teacher is more important than any curriculum. Think of it this way, your 3 or 4-year-old is accustomed to being surrounded by loving people like his or her parents or siblings throughout the day, and the school is your children's first time to spend a large portion of their day away from those people. You want to look for a preschool teacher who is good with students, takes pride in his or her students' progress, and is consistently open to their improvement. The only way to know all this is to talk to your teacher. English and math proficiency is the key to a successful academic career. It is okay to ask about a school's success rate in these two critical areas. Pick a school that has shown a solid history of student academic success in these subjects. If a school is good at teaching these basic skills, then there is a good chance your child will benefit from it. Another thing to remember is your child's feelings. Children are more perceptive than you may realize, and they lack the ability to successfully communicate this to adults. So talk to your child, ask them how they feel about the school, and listen carefully to what they say. The United States has a complex healthcare system that is currently in a state of change. The Affordable Care Act (ACA) was signed into law in March 2010 by President Barack Obama and came into effect in January 2015. The act provided insurance to 20 to 24 million Americans who previously had no health insurance. This act has come under a lot of criticism and is currently being reviewed with the intention of repealing it. The new U.S. Congress is planning on replacing the act with a new one. Healthcare is very expensive in the United States. Hospital stays for even a few days can cost much more than most Americans can afford. Still, there exists a complex network of clinics, offices, medical centers, hospitals, and outpatient facilities that are available to the public. Additionally, there are county hospitals and other low-cost facilities that can provide service to the insured and uninsured alike. Health maintenance organizations (HMOs) also provide medical services to the public. These HMOs are usually tied to employer insurance coverage, but individuals can purchase insurance from these types of healthcare providers, too. Finding a good doctor, one that you feel comfortable with, is the first step in taking command of your health care. Once you find a good doctor, he or she can refer you to specialists who can address any special needs you may have. You can find a good doctor anywhere in the US, regardless of your insurance plans. All you need is a little patience and persistence. Most people in the US do not rely on the Affordable Care Act for their health care needs. Many employers provide their workers with insurance as part of the benefits package. However, other Americans purchase individual insurance plans that can be costly. Whenever a person is prescribed a medication, it is important for the person to read and understand the label that comes with the medication. Important information for dosage, frequency, and side effects of the drug is contained in these labels. Prescribed medicines are drugs that cannot be purchased without a prescription, which means only a doctor can give you access to them. The reason for this is because most prescription drugs are more potent than the so-called over-the-counter drugs. Prescribed drugs are usually focused on a specific ailment and come with side effects that can cause other issues to the patient. Labels on prescribed medicines also contain other vital information, such as the number of pills in the container, the date issued, the number of times you can reorder the prescription, the name of the drug, along with the name of the pharmacy that issued the drug. This information is important because of the nature of most prescription drugs and their side effects. Some side effects could impair the patient severely. The drug could make you nauseous or impair your vision. Some can also make you drowsy, which means the patient should not drive a car or operate machinery. It could be dangerous to the patient or to others that may be nearby. It is good to know exactly what prescribed medicines you are taking. If you are ever in need of emergency medical treatment, this information is important to the medical personnel treating you. Some drugs do not interact well with others. So if you know what drugs you are taking, emergency medical professionals will know what not to give you. So know your drugs by reading the labels. Cigarette smoking used to be very fashionable in the United States. It was considered a sophisticated habit that many of the nation's elite members engaged in, which was later copied by the general populace of the country. Younger people who smoked were the cool kids. Many young people, who wanted to fit into the group, started to smoke at an early age only to discover that the habit caused quite a bit of harm to them. There was a time when cigarette advertisements were everywhere. It was legal to run commercials on television, radio, billboards, and bus benches, but all that changed sometime in the 1970s. Today, tobacco companies are limited in how and where they can advertise their deadly products. Generally speaking, smoking has fallen out of favor with most Americans because of the consequences associated with the habit. Cigarette smoking is the leading, preventable cause of death in the US. Today, its effects on the human body are many and can be devastating. More than 480,000 Americans die from the negative effects of cigarette smoking each year. Cigarette smoking can lead to cancer, stroke, lung disease, and the overall health deterioration of the smoker. Smoking can make it more difficult for women to become pregnant, and smoking while pregnant not only affects the mother, it also has a negative effect on the unborn fetus. It can also lead to premature birth, low birth weight in newborns, and even stillborn babies. In men, cigarette smoking can reduce sperm count, making it more difficult to father a child. When a smoker smokes in public, he or she is also fouling the air and affecting those who do not smoke. It also makes people's clothes and breath smell. In all, it is a very bad habit. In order to maintain good health, there are a couple of steps to take to help you achieve that. One is to get your vaccinations, and the other is to get regular medical checkups. Vaccinations are preventive medical procedures that come in the form of an injection. Most children in the United States are required by law to be vaccinated for certain diseases that are easily transmitted from one person to another. Vaccinating children starts shortly after birth. The typical vaccinations include injections to prevent hepatitis A, hepatitis B, and polio. They stop the spread of measles, mumps, and chickenpox. These diseases were a big problem in the US in the past, but they have all been eliminated through vaccinations. So if you are not certain if you have had your vaccinations, go see a medical professional. Getting a regular medical checkup is also important for maintaining good health. Doctors are highly trained individuals whose only concern is to ensure their patient's health. It is always easier to practice preventive medicine than to treat an illness once the patient has received it. Preventive medicine is best served by getting regular checkups. Most doctors want to see their patients every 3 to 6 months. By seeing their patients frequently, a doctor can determine slight changes in the overall health of their patients before they become a problem. Usually a checkup will include taking blood and urine samples for analysis. Many illnesses can be revealed through these tests and if caught early, are easily treatable. So make that appointment with your doctor, and if you do not have one, ask a friend, colleague, or family member for a referral. It could be the best thing you can do for living a long, healthy life. Eating a healthy diet can be confusing to some people, but it does not need to be. Healthy eating habits begin with you. The general rule is to eat as much plant-based food as you can, which includes vegetables, fruits, legumes, and whole grains. The foods to avoid are fatty foods and processed foods that contain a lot of empty calories and little nutritional value. Your health depends on the foods you put into your body, so think twice before consuming something that is unhealthful. Most nutritionists agree that vegetables are a key to living a long, healthy life. Nearly all vegetables are low in fat and calories and are a major source of a variety of nutrients. Many vegetables provide potassium, dietary fiber, and vitamins A and C. Vegetables are so low in calories that it is nearly impossible to gain weight by overeating them. Of course, this only applies to non-battered vegetables. It does not apply to deep-fried vegetables, or vegetables that are used as part of a larger meal that may include cheese, or other fatty components. Generally speaking, the most popular vegetables contain only about 50 calories per cup, and they are very filling. Eating lots of fruit can also be low-calorie alternative to fatty foods that consist of red meat, such as hamburgers or sausages. Fruits contain natural sugar, which is healthier for the human body than processed sugar. Legumes and nuts are also healthy for the body, but contain more calories than fruits and vegetables, so be careful with how much you eat. The best thing to do is to educate yourself on the foods you eat. Knowing beforehand what you are putting into your body can help you make the correct food choices. Diet and exercise are two of the most important parts of leading a healthy life. There is an old saying in the United States that reads, "You are what you eat." It means that your overall health and appearance are greatly affected by what you eat. If you eat high-calorie, fatty foods, then you may suffer from obesity at one time or another. If, however, you eat plenty of green vegetables and little to no fat, your chances of being fit are much better. Many people are limited in the types of exercise they can do, but almost everyone can walk. A daily walk can help you achieve your healthy living goals. You should plan on walking at least 1 mile per day. A good pace to walk in is about 18 to 20 minutes per mile. Of course, the more you walk, the better. It takes most people less than 40 minutes to walk 2 miles, but the benefits of this could last a lifetime. Walking can reduce stress levels, increase stamina, lower blood sugar levels, and regulate blood pressure. Once you get started walking, you just may like it. Another benefit of eating right and exercising is that it can lead to a positive outlook in life. Practicing these good habits can make you feel and look better. Your clothes will fit a bit better, and you will sleep better, which will lead to a healthy self-image. A positive self-image can give you more confidence in whatever you do, whether it is at work, in school, or at home. So eat right, exercise daily, and enjoy the benefits. Regular dentist visits can do more than keep your smile attractive. They can tell dentists a lot about your overall health, including whether or not you may be at risk for disease. New research suggests that the health of your mouth mirrors the condition of your body as a whole. For example, when your mouth is healthy, chances are your overall health is good, too. On the other hand, if you have poor oral health, you may have other health problems, so it is important to see a dentist on a regular basis. Dentists are not hard to find. If you are working and have dental insurance coverage, your company will provide a list of dental care offices whose services are covered by their insurance. It would be wise to check this out. However, why is dental hygiene so important? Research shows that more than 90% of all systemic diseases, which involve many organs, or the whole body, have oral health connections, including swollen gums, mouth ulcers, dry mouth and excessive gum problems. Diseases such as diabetes, oral cancer, heart or kidney diseases, leukemia, and pancreatic cancer can all have ties to poor oral hygiene. Some of the things you can do starts with seeing a dentist on a regular basis. Seeing a dentist regularly helps to keep your mouth in top shape and allows your dentist to watch for developments that may point to other health issues. A dental exam can detect problems such as poor nutrition and improper jaw alignment. Provide your dentist with a complete medical history and inform him or her of any recent health developments, even if they seem unrelated to your oral health. One of the great advantages of oral health is having a great smile. A healthy smile can give a person confidence and is a good indication of a healthy body. Parenting is one of the difficult tasks people have to undertake if they have children. Parents are charged with raising children from birth until the child's 18th birthday. It is a challenging prospect these days for a variety of reasons. Each child is unique, so is the parent. In the best possible situation, a child or children will grow up in a two-parent household. This traditionally means with a father and a mother, although today it could just mean a two-adult household. In any event, research has shown that children are better adapted to adulthood when there is a two-parent presence in the household they grew up in. There are many theories on which style of parenting is best for children. Some may say that giving tough love is the best way to parent. Tough love is usually defined as letting your children learn about life through their own experiences, whether they are good experiences or not. Then there is the over-nurturing type of parenting. This is where the parents micromanage their children's activities and praise and encourage them regardless of their performances. Some would argue that this approach does not prepare children for the real world. Others argue that it is the job of the parent to protect their children. The debate can last indefinitely. Some of the pitfalls of parenthood are mistreating their children and committing child abuse. The definition of child abuse has changed greatly over the years. It used to be accepted behavior to hit a child when that child acted in an improper manner, but that is largely frowned upon today. The best thing to do is to do a little research. You can find a parenting group in your neighborhood and look for resources online. There is help out there. It is just a matter of finding it. Children depend on their parents for guidance, strength, and character. It is a parent's job to ensure that their children have a great chance to succeed in this world. That includes making sure their children are healthy. One of the things parents can do is to ensure that their children eat a healthy diet. Children should eat 3 healthy meals a day, plus a nutritious snack or 2. Another thing parents can do for their children is to make sure they drink plenty of water. Water is crucial to the health of a growing child, and it is good for adults, too. Parents should also limit the amount of sugar and fat their children consume. Unhealthy foods include sugary sodas, juice, fried foods, and candy. These foods have little or no nutritional value, and can cause your child to become dependent on sugary snacks for a quick boost. Sometimes the best thing you could tell your child is no. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day, so give your child a healthy breakfast every morning, which is vital to a child's well-being. It will allow your child to concentrate on his or her school work better, and will fuel them until it is time for lunch. There is no better energy boost than a good breakfast to start your child's day. Practicing good hygienic habits are also good for your children. Teach them to brush their teeth, to wash their hands, and to bathe themselves at an early age. Of course, the best way to teach your child these habits, or anything else, is for you to act as a role model. If they see you practicing good habits, they will also do the same. Remember, a healthy child is a happy child. In the United States, there is a holiday for almost every day. Most of these holidays, or days of recognition, are obscure and may be regionally based, but the US enjoys many holidays throughout the year. Holidays are basically days people can take off work or school. There are a handful of federal holidays that most companies, government offices, states, and residents celebrate yearly. These days are given to the people of the United States to break the routine of working 8 hours a day, 7 days a week. They differ from vacation time. Vacation time is personal experiences that take place at a time and place the vacationer and his or her employer agrees on. The first federal or national holiday takes place right at the beginning of the year on January 1st. New Year's Day is the first of several government holidays. It is followed by Martin Luther King Jr. Day, President's Day, Memorial Day, Independence Day, Labor Day, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. The reason why some of these holidays do not have a fixed day or date is because they are celebrated on a Monday to give workers a 3-day holiday from work. This practice came into being a number of years ago, leaving few fixed date holidays such as New Year's Day, Independence Day, and Christmas Day. Each holiday celebrates a different event or person. Memorial Day, for example, is in memory of those who have died while in the service of their country during their time in the military. Thanksgiving Day celebrates the first meal shared by Native Americans and the colonists from Europe. Each holiday is unique and is celebrated in different ways. The United States is one of the largest countries in the world in both size and population. With that being said, interpersonal relationships vary greatly from region to region. Marriage and dating someone can mean a very different experience in Los Angeles, as compared to Salt Lake City, Utah, for example. In some places, dating and marriage are personal decisions made by the persons in the relationship, while in other places around the country, families are more involved. Who or when someone is allowed to date can mean more to some families than to others. However, there are some traditional values that cross most the geographic lines in the country. Some of the more common traits people look for in a potential mate are common interests, spirituality, commitment, kindness, trust, and communication. These are some of the traits, or qualities most people seek when entering a dating relationship, or when considering marriage. Common interests matter because it shows that the couple enjoys engaging in similar activities. If a person likes to ride horses, for example, then meeting and dating a person who also enjoys riding can be very attractive. Spirituality is also important to a large number of people in the United States. Many families frown upon their children dating a person from another religion, while others allow their children to make their own decisions. Commitment is also a big factor, especially if the relationship is moving toward marriage. Kindness, trust, and communication are related traits that dating couples look for in a partner. Being kind to your mate is very important, and so is trust. You must trust the person you are dating in order to develop a healthy relationship, and communication is the best way to develop trust in each other. One of the best ways to get to know someone is to just say hello. This may seem like an obvious method, but saying hello to someone differs from country to country, and even from region to region in the same country. In the United States, people are informal when meeting other people for the most part. Saying hello tells you a lot about the person you are greeting, and it also tells that person something about you. Typical greetings are hello, hi, greetings, good day, good morning, or good afternoon or evening. With the exception of hi, all of these greetings can be considered formal greetings that are universally understood in the United States. Some of the more informal greetings vary greatly from person to person. Younger people have created their own slang for greeting someone, and the slang is constantly changing. For instance, the term "what's happening" was very popular during the 1970s and 80s, and it is still in use today, but it has been replaced by several other greetings by the newer generations. What's up, or what's up can be heard frequently in the US. Among the younger people, these two terms are considered informal greetings that a person should never use in a formal setting. These terms are usually reserved for informal encounters and are usually said by friends. When a person says hello to another person, it says a lot about that person. It conveys a friendly attitude and a willingness to get to know the other person. It can mean that the person initiating the conversation is someone who likes to socialize, or just likes people in general. If the greeting is accompanied by a smile, it is all the better. Humor has been around for as long as there has been humanity. Most dictionaries define humor as the quality of being amusing or comic, especially as expressed in literature or speech. It is an important tool in communication and socialization between human beings, especially in the United States. Many tense moments between people are lightened by the use of humor. A person who possesses a good sense of humor is usually regarded as a friendly person, who is fun to be around. Humor has been known to relieve stress also. Humor is everywhere. For example, laughter is one of the first things you do as a newborn, and, if all goes well, it will be one of the last things you do before you die. If you try going through a day without a laugh, you'll find that it's downright impossible. Humor is also not exclusively a human experience. Many creatures in the animal kingdom have been observed engaging in humor and laughter. Additionally, humor influences many of our daily decisions, such as the websites, books, and magazines we read, the television shows and movies we watch, and the people we decide to talk to or not. The importance of humor cannot be understated. Humor has physical benefits, too. Laughter, especially a hearty laugh, has been shown to benefit your circulation, lungs, and muscles, especially muscles around the belly area. Humor also helps people deal with pain and physical adversity. It has been discovered that humor improves the overall makeup of the human psyche when used during times of grief, such as a death in the family. Thinking about the fun times you may have had with a deceased person may seem inappropriate, but studies have shown it helps people cope with the grief to a great degree, so go ahead and have a good laugh once in a while. Politically correct is a term that has gained a great deal of momentum during the last few years in the United States. It is a term that describes the behavior people exhibit in public versus in private social situations. It is a relatively new term that has drawn both criticism and praise from many Americans. Being politically correct is achieved by speaking about something or someone in public, without being disrespectful. This applies even if you are speaking on a topic that you disagree with. It is very closely related to politeness, but has more meaning than simply being polite. In the past, it was considered acceptable to speak your mind when discussing politics or religion, for example. This type of candor sometimes created a conflict between the speaker and those listening who may disagree with him or her. An example of this may be if someone is speaking about the current president in an offensive manner in public. There are those who support the president and may not share the speaker's point of view. On the other side of the argument, it could be you who is in a group of people expressing views about the president that you may not agree on. Is it better to confront the speaker or to simply remove yourself from the situation? Being around people who do not practice political correctness can be uncomfortable. The best way to go about your day is to speak of controversial subjects privately with friends or family. Some political and religious feelings are deeply rooted in some people who may not feel comfortable about a person speaking against his or her beliefs. This can lead to confrontation and even conflict. The best way to proceed is to be careful of the topics you engage in conversations on when you are out in public. Society in the United States is a complex matter. It is unique even among English-speaking countries. What is acceptable behavior or language in Australia, for example, may not be in the USA. Taboos are defined as socially unacceptable language or behavior. There are simply some words and actions that society members cannot do in public. It is important to learn some of the taboos that exist in this country, especially for those who are new here. It will make the transition from your country of origin to the United States a little bit easier. The following are a few examples of American taboos. One of the most common taboos in the US is the use of profanity. Profanity, sometimes called cuss words or swear words, is not considered proper conversation in some parts of the country. In large cities such as Los Angeles or New York, profanity is more common, but in much of the rural part of the country, it is considered vulgar and the person using profanity is considered of low quality. Another American taboo is speaking of the Christian God in a casual fashion. Religious beliefs run strong in the South and Midwest regions. Using the name of Jesus Christ or God will definitely be looked down upon in these areas. Other taboo subjects in the US are sex, death, personal finances, and excretory functions. Excretory functions are body functions that involve waste materials. It is improper to speak of your personal bathroom visits, especially to the opposite sex. Personal finances are just that, personal, and should never be discussed in social settings. It is no one's business how much money you make, or inquiring about how much money someone else makes. The same is true about sexual content. Lastly, it is considered in poor taste to speak badly about a deceased person. In nearly every job or position you hold during your time in the United States will require you to be punctual, which means being on time. This practice will serve you well in both your academic and professional careers. Being punctual is possibly the single most important thing for any job you may have. It is something that most employers expect from their employees, and it is also what many professors expect from their students. Nothing disrupts a class more than a latecomer who habitually comes into the classroom late. Coming in 5 to 10 minutes late draws attention to the person coming in late and interrupts the teacher who is trying to conduct a lesson. It also disturbs students who are concentrating on the professor's lecture. Being late is rude and looked down upon in American society. It also serves as a disadvantage to the person coming in late. If a student arrives 10 minutes late, he or she may miss an assignment or roll call. Roll is called generally at the beginning of a class to see who is present and who is not. It also can indicate who comes in late to class. You don't want to get the bad reputation of always coming in late to class. So leave home a few minutes earlier to ensure you won't miss any class time. It is a good habit to get into because punctuality is important in the workforce. Generally speaking, most employers set specific times for their employees to arrive to the workplace. Normally the workplace is in an office or factory, but sometimes could be at a remote location. Regardless of where your particular workplace is, it is important to arrive on time, or preferably a few minutes early. This shows your employer that you are a good employee who can be counted on to be at work. So be on time, and you will benefit greatly from this. The United States of America is a country that was built by immigrants. From its very beginning in 1776, this country has welcomed immigrants from all over the world. During the country's infancy, most immigrants came from European countries such as England, Germany, Italy, and France, but that changed in the years that followed. Although many people still come from those countries into the US, many other countries are represented here. Immigrants from Latin America, Africa, and Asia have also relocated to the United States, and now call this country their home. With all the diverse cultures that exist in this country, it is important to recognize their differences and try to get along with everyone. Asian cultures differ greatly from Latin American cultures, or European cultures. Language, food, marriage, and interactions within their culture can be very different. What is acceptable behavior in one culture may not be in another, or may even be considered rude, or taboo. Japanese people, for example, usually greet each other, with a slight nod of the head, and a bow from the waist. This is considered a formal method of greeting someone new in Japan. In American culture, people normally look directly into the other person's eyes and use their right hand to grasp the other person's right hand firmly. An up and down motion is then employed. This is called shaking hands. A firm handshake is considered a favorable way to meet someone new in America. Other cultures use other methods to greet each other, and there are countless cultures in the United States. Take advantage of the different cultures of the country. Learning a new language, or having a meal that is unique to another culture can be a great experience. Embrace the customs of your fellow Americans. You may find it much enjoyable. The United States of America was founded on several principles, which include a democratic form of government. However, one of the most important principles outlined by the founders of the country was freedom of religion. People in the U.S. are free to practice the religion of their choice, without fear of persecution. Religious persecution was one of the main reasons many immigrants fled their countries to live in the United States. Various religious faiths have flourished within the United States. A majority of Americans report that religion plays a very important role in their lives, a proportion unique among developed countries. Christianity is the most popular religion in the country, but it is not the only one practiced here by far. During the country's infancy, Anglicans, Roman Catholics, and mainline Protestants, as well as Jews, arrived from Europe. Various Protestants, who left the Church of England, greatly diversified the religious landscape. Methodist and Baptist churches increased drastically. Jehovah's Witnesses and the Latter-day Saint movement spread also. Beginning in 1990s, the religious share of Christians is decreasing due to secularization, while Buddhism, Hinduism, Islam, and other religions are spreading. Protestantism, historically dominant, ceased to be the religious category of the majority in the early 2010s. What is most important, however, is that all religions are safe to practice in the United States. Christianity is not the only religion to see a decline in membership in recent years. Nearly all religions are shrinking in size because of the country's move to a more secular way of life. Atheism is on the rise in the country as the number of people who claim to be atheist or to have no religious connection is increasing. The public library system, in the United States, is a large network of facilities spread throughout the country. There are some fundamental characteristics shared by all public libraries. They are generally supported by taxes, usually local, though any level of government can and may contribute. They are governed by a board to serve the public interest. They are open to all, and every community member can access the collection. They provide basic services without charge. Public libraries exist in many countries across the world, and are often considered an essential part of having an educated and literate population. Public libraries are distinct from research libraries, school libraries, and other special libraries in that their mandate is to serve the general public's information needs rather than the needs of a particular school, institution, or research population. Public libraries also provide free services, such as preschool story times, to encourage early literacy. They also provide quiet study and work areas for students and professionals, or book clubs to encourage appreciation of literature in adults. Public libraries typically allow users to borrow books and other materials temporarily. They also have non-circulating reference collections and provide computer and internet access to patrons. The computer access is one of the ways that public libraries have evolved. The internet has opened up an entire world of information, which is much larger than any single library can provide. The inclusions of digital library databases have increased the number of books, periodicals, and videos available to the public. Libraries are great places for people to study, to do research, or just to read a book. The United States Postal Service USPS is a part of the federal government that is responsible for providing postal service in the United States. The service it provides is generally called mail delivery, but it offers many other services also. It employs more than 600,000 employees nationwide, making it the third largest single employer in the country. Being established in 1775, it is one of the oldest government agencies in existence. Millions of American individuals, businesses, and other government agencies depend on the USPS to deliver mail, documents, and packages countrywide on a daily basis. Each day the USPS delivers approximately 660 million pieces of mail to as many as 142 million delivery points. It operates 31,000 post offices and locations in the U.S. and delivers 155 billion pieces of mail each year. The basic rate to deliver first-class mail no more than 1 ounce is 49 cents, so mailing a letter to anyone in the United States will cost you less than 50 cents, regardless of its destination. Additionally, the USPS owns one of the largest civilian vehicle fleets in the nation, which helped it earn the total revenue of more than $74.49 billion in 2016. Although the USPS is one of the largest government agencies in existence, it has been negatively affected by the advent of the World Wide Web and email. These two factors have led to a decline of volume since 1998. In response, the USPS announced it would close more than half of its mail processing centers, eliminate 28,000 jobs, and reduce overnight delivery of first-class mail. This will close down 252 of its 461 processing centers. However, the most effective way to send a letter in the United States is still by using the United States Postal Service. Sports and sporting events in the United States are widespread. It is possibly the largest network of sports in the entire world. The US boasts not only a great number of professional sport teams and leagues, but also a great amateur network of sports and events. In the US, there are 4 major professional leagues of sports teams. They are Major League Baseball (MLB), the National Basketball Association (NBA), the National Football League (NFL), and the National Hockey League (NHL). Each one of these leagues is very popular, and is also very profitable for the owners of the teams. Nearly every major city in the United States has a team from each one of the leagues. Some cities have more though. Los Angeles has 2 NFL teams, the Rams and the Chargers, 2 baseball teams, the Dodgers and the Angels, 2 basketball teams, the Lakers and the Clippers, 2 NHL teams, the Kings and the Ducks. It is one of a handful of cities that have multiple teams within its region. There is also a professional soccer league in the US. Now, it came into existence in the mid-1990s after the US hosted the World Cup in Southern California in 1994. The league was created as a condition imposed by the International Football Association (FIFA) to host the games in the US. Soccer, as the rest of the world calls it, is not as popular in the US as in much of the world, but it has gained some momentum since 1994. Amateur sports also thrive in the US. One of the most popular sports in the amateur world is college football. Nearly every university across the country has an American football team, and there are thousands of colleges and universities in the country. Most of these schools belong to a league that can contain several schools, and most of these schools field basketball, baseball, hockey, and soccer teams, too. Television viewing is very different in the United States today than it was 20 or 30 years ago. In those days, network television was the only option available to most people. There were 3 major TV networks at the time: NBC, CBS, and ABC. All these networks still exist, but have been joined with several other TV viewing options over the years. One of the first alternatives for television viewing is cable TV. It has been in existence for quite some time. Cable TV served much of the country's rural areas during the time the networks ruled TV. Network TV is broadcast through airwaves, and private homes receive the broadcast using an antenna affixed on the home's roof. Cable TV is a system where the cable company used cable to link several homes together to receive broadcast signals from a central antenna. Cable TV offered more than network channels did. Soon the demand for cable TV grew in populated areas. Cable TV was allowed to show more graphic content also, which was attractive to some viewers who did not agree with the censorship network TV was subjected to. Needless to say, cable TV became quite popular because it offered more channels than over-the-air broadcast TV. Some of these channels were designed to attract specific audiences such as sports, movies, and uncensored TV fans. Soon cable TV was in nearly all the homes in the United States. Following the popularity of cable TV, satellite television came onto the scene. It offered multiple channels, just like cable, but was delivered via orbiting satellites, making it possible to view live programming from virtually any part of the world. Today, streaming services are popular. These services offer TV content through Wi-Fi connections, which costs substantially less than either cable or satellite service. All that needed is a device and a good Wi-Fi connection. A public park is a place where people can go to spend time away from the home in an outdoor environment. Parks have many features designed to give the most options possible to park visitors. How a park shapes up depends greatly on the natural environment it is located in. It may consist of grassy areas, rocks, soil, and trees, but may also contain buildings and other artifacts, such as monuments, fountains, or playground structures. Many parks have fields for playing sports such as football and baseball. They may also have paved areas for games such as basketball. Many parks have trails for walking, biking, and other activities. Often, the smallest parks are in urban areas, where a park may take up only a city block or less. Urban parks often have benches for sitting, and may contain picnic tables and barbecue grills. Additionally, many parks engage the community by providing venues for recreation and events. Many parks hold outdoor concerts where visitors can enjoy live entertainment. Parks are traditionally selected to host traveling carnival shows. These carnivals have mechanical rides that people can enjoy for a small fee. Carnivals also have game booths, video games, and food available. Parks are sometimes divided into active and passive recreation areas. Active recreation involves cooperative or team activity, including playgrounds, ball fields, swimming pools, gymnasiums, and skate parks. Active recreation such as team sports, due to the need to provide substantial space to congregate, typically involves intensive management, maintenance, and high costs. Passive recreation, also called low-intensity recreation, emphasizes the open space aspect of a park and allows for the preservation of natural habitat. It usually involves a low level of development, such as rustic picnic areas, benches and trails. One of the favorite activities for some people in the United States is to visit a thrift store or find a garage sale. Thrift stores usually offer second-hand or used clothing and goods for sale at a greatly reduced price. These stores can be found in nearly every community in the country. Some people visit thrift stores out of necessity, because of the low prices, but others like to shop at thrift stores, because of the hidden gems sometimes found there. Thrift stores depend on donations from private citizens to stock their stores. Many times a person will donate a piece of clothing, or an article from their home without realizing its real value. This is where some eagle-eyed thrift shop patrons pick up their hidden prizes. Garage sales work much the same as thrift shops do, but they are not usually in a fixed location. Many people hold garage sales in their private garages. These sales take place for several reasons. One is that people need to get their hands on a little extra cash, but a more important reason is that people have bulging houses. Their homes are too small to accommodate all their goods. A garage sale consists of items the owners no longer want or need. They want to rid themselves of unused or unwanted items, and pick up a few bucks in the process. Most cities require homeowners, who are planning to host a garage sale, to purchase a special permit. These permits make it legal to sell their goods for one day, or sometimes an entire weekend. The cost of the permit is nominal. It can cost as little as $5 to $10 to acquire a garage sale permit, and it might be well worth the expense. One of the most powerful tools developed to provide information and services during the last 20 years is the personal computer and the internet. Just a few years ago, most of the people in the United States did not own a personal computer. Computer usage was limited mostly to the workplace and libraries. However, all that has changed. Today, nearly every household in the country has a personal computer or a portable device. Additionally, the creation of the internet has made using your personal computer more effective in ways that were not foreseen in the recent past. Computer technology has improved drastically since personal computers came into American homes years ago. The internet has also improved dramatically. Along with the improved technology come new problems. Some people, who are technologically proficient, are using their talents to take advantage of unsuspecting individuals. Banking, credit card, and personal information all exists in cyberspace today, and there are thieves out there who know how to access it. In order to keep your information safe, try following basic safety practices, such as installing protective software, and creating strong passwords. Use a combination of letters, numbers, and special characters to create a password that is easy for you to remember. Additionally, regular backups can protect you from the unexpected. Don't leave your computer in an unsecured area, unattended, or logged on, especially in public places. Ignore unsolicited emails, and be wary of attachments, links, and forms in emails that come from people you don't know, and avoid untrustworthy websites. Never give your passwords to other people. If you take these common sense protective measures, you reduce the risk of becoming a cyber victim. New technologies lead to new problems. Email scam is one of these problems. The new technology has allowed the less than honest people reach a greater number of victims than ever before. In the past, fraudulent scams were limited to phone and traditional mail delivery system. Those methods were time-consuming, required extensive research, and reached limited potential victims. With email, scammers can reach tens of thousands of individuals per email blast. They only need to reach a very small percentage of people they email to be successful. Many of the email scams present today are recycled scams from the years before the use of email. The Federal Trade Commission (FTC), which regulates communications in the United States, has listed the 12 most common email scams, such as chain letters, phony business opportunities, work-at-home schemes, investment opportunities, free goods, and guaranteed loans. Beware of these types of emails from unknown users or sources, especially if they are marked urgent or immediate action required. There are some actions you can take to help you avoid becoming an email scam victim. You can filter spam emails through your settings. Most email applications and webmail services include spam filtering features, or ways to set your email to detect spam. Regard all unknown email with suspicion, and treat email attachments with caution. Install antivirus software and keep it up to date. Installing firewalls on your personal computer may also be a good idea. By practicing these precautionary methods, you can avoid becoming another victim. Volunteering your time for a specific cause or reason can be a fun experience. There are countless volunteer opportunities available in nearly every city in the country. In Los Angeles, there are many opportunities for those who are interested in volunteering their time. LA is a big place whose residents have lots of reasons to volunteer. One way to help take care of the city, its people, animals, trees, and beaches is to give back by volunteering. It not only exposes the volunteer to new places, people, and events, but also helps those who may be less fortunate. Some people volunteer to work with the homeless in LA. The homeless population in Los Angeles has grown in recent years, making volunteering to help them more important than ever. One of the ways to help is to volunteer at a local homeless shelter. Most of these shelters are in the downtown area. You can help by working in the kitchen, or distributing food and other goods to those in need. It is very satisfying work and can be enjoyable, too. One other popular volunteer opportunity is to work with animals. Most local animal shelters welcome volunteers to work with animals, and you don't have to be an expert to do this. You can also work for the elderly or disabled people. Many of these people do not have access to transportation, or have limited mobility. You can help by delivering meals to their doorsteps, or by taking them on an outing to their local market, or restaurant so that they can get a hot meal. Other volunteer opportunities exist in academics. Many students cannot afford to pay a private tutor to help them with their classes. There are organizations that can help. You can help too by volunteering as a tutor. These are just some of the opportunities available. To find more, Google volunteer opportunities followed by the city you want to volunteer in.